High school movies are the most repeat viewable, relatable, and quotable flicks ever. I think it's safe to say we've all watched Mean Girls over 100 times. And what's more relatable than when a pair of jeans fits 4 different girls in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants? Or how about when Sharon Dion coined the term as if in Clueless? So that's why we're counting down the best high school movies ever made right here on Listed.
There's no movie more iconic than Mean Girls.
My boyfriend had never seen it, which is a crime, so I made him watch it. And he loved it too, which is surprising because he hates everything.
I was talking to my best friend Megan on the phone, and I was like, so have you seen this movie Mean Girls? And I was like, if I tell her that I love this movie, will she know I'm gay or not? That doesn't make you gay, but at the same time, no other guys in my class were watching it.
The first time I saw Mean Girls, I think was in school. I think a substitute teacher put it on, which why would you put on Mean Girls in school?
Mean Girls is about Lindsay Lohan. Shout out to Lilo. She's been gone for quite some time. She's kind of an outcast. She's a little quirky. She doesn't really fit in with any group, which was totally how I felt in high school. She's from Africa, and then she goes to a new school and she meets the Mean Girls. Karen's a little bit slow. Gretchen loves to gossip, and Regina is really mean.
She's a Grotsky little biatch. Do not trust her.
I think my absolute favorite is probably Gretchen Wieners because she's so extra and she's so entitled that it's kind of hilarious. And her dad is the inventor of toaster strudel.
I think my favorite character was Damien. I mean, he was so great in the movie. He had definitely some really good one-liners that we all remember, of course.
She doesn't even go here.
You go, Glen Coco.
She asked me how to spell orange.
My favorite scene is when the girl's sitting in the bleachers and she's like, I can't help it to have a heavy flow in a white set vagina.
My favorite scene in Mean Girls was when they all go out and sing Jingle Bell Rock. Really iconic. The music stops, but then they all still sing and dance. And then, of course, the slutty Santa outfits, which I own one too.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring.
Classic Tina Fey, those cutaways of just this funny one-liners one after the other.
Is butter a carb? That's one of the most iconic ones. Also, because I'm such a good friend. Can we make fetch happen?
14 years later, still quoting it, still obsessed with it.
So 10 Things I Hate About You is based on the Shakespearean play Taming of the Shrew, but don't worry, it's not boring. It's about this girl in high school who has a younger, super popular sister, and she's so anti-guy, and she doesn't want a boyfriend until a super hot bad boy comes to the school.
I totally relate to 10 Things I Hate About You because I have a sister too, and I think she sort of paved the way so that I could date because she wasn't allowed to date until, well, actually, she was allowed to date, but I had to go with her. Eventually, I could date, and she didn't have to come with me, so it was awesome.
So Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is just so sweet. He's so in love with Bianca and is just chasing after her, and it's so adorable. He learns French for her, which I'm pretty sure that there are no boys in high school who would have done that.
Julia Stiles did the most amazing, most memorable table dance I've ever seen in my life. I remember going to parties in high school with my friends and trying to recreate it.
Oh, my favorite scene in that movie is when Heath Ledger, R.I.P., he is singing I love you, baby, in the bleachers. Oh, so romantic. No one ever did that to me in high school. Actually, someone did do that to me in high school and they got suspended. It wasn't as romantic as it was in that movie.
I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's been the biggest glow up, right?
He was in The Dark Knight Rises. He's been in a lot of big budget movies, Inception. He has his own company that he does, Hit Record.
It's just a great all-around film, especially if you're a hopeless romantic.
This is one of the greatest movies ever, and this is not just a chick flick. I feel like this is entertaining for everybody. I watched it with my parents the first time. It's hysterical.
Easy A, I love that film. It's one of my favorite films starring, who's in that?
If you don't know, the movie is based on the Scarlet Letter, but in modern times.
The fact that they took that and made it so modern is kind of amazing.
Easy A was Emma Stone's breakout role. It's when the world fell in love with Emma Stone, Easy E.
She played this girl in high school who basically spreads a rumor about herself that she hooks up with a bunch of guys, has sex with them, then they give her gifts, then it kind of backfires on her. Everyone thinks she's Easy A, The Scarlet Letter.
It was so empowering. I mean, it was led by a female, Emma Stone, and I feel like even now it's such a popular movie because it really empowers us that even though you're getting made fun of in high school, you can still move on and just leave that, you know, on the side and not let it get to you.
You hadn't really seen a movie like this where a teenage girl is trying to like gain attention and popularity by lying about something that's kind of a big deal. And I also love the fact that it's like a secret way to get people into literature. Which, like, we're not doing that enough now anymore.
My favorite character was Brandon because he was in the closet like I was. And there's this scene in the movie where he's with Emma Stone and they close the bedroom door and then they're pretending to have sex.
Neither of them know what the hell they're doing, so they're just like screaming from the room. That's probably the funniest scene in the whole movie.
Bring It On was literally all of my high school cheer dreams becoming real life things.
I do remember Bring It On. I remember we went with a group of friends. It was really interesting because all the girls that I went with were cheerleaders except for me because I have no coordination and I cannot dance.
The all-white cheer squad with the all-black cheer squad and then the white cheer squad stealing the black cheer squad stuff. Might cause a little bit of drama, but back in the day, it was perfect. Let's go, Toros!
Kirsten Dunst is one of those people that I think I'll just have a girl crush on for the rest of my life.
Isis just slayed in that movie, I love Gabrielle Union in anything she does.
My favorite character from Bring It On is Cliff because he's the guy that I would have had a crush on in high school. He's edgy, he plays guitar. I mean, you gotta love Cliff.
I was never a cheerleader in high school, nor did I even want to be one, but watching them and watching cheer competitions is just so much fun. I love cheerleading music.
The comedy and the drama and how like seriously they took cheer was something I'm happy to say I deeply connected with at the time.
It's because of a movie like Bring It On that we get movies like Mean Girls, where things are very, very like comical and just amazing in terms of how much they exaggerate situations, you know?
The Princess Diaries is everything to me.
It's about Mia, who finds out she's actually a princess because her grandma is the Queen of Genovia.
Who happens to be Julie Andrews.
Young Anne Hathaway in her breakout role, doing her thing, being so charming, so funny.
She needs to leave high school in San Francisco, get a total makeover, and become the princess of a foreign land. Casual.
It's like one of those movies where you can watch over and over and it makes me laugh every time.
The funny thing is, I used to be a tour guide at Universal Studios, and while I was there, there's one part of the tour where it's Little Europe and they use the set for all these different things. And I'll be like, and if we have any Princess Diaries fans, this is the Kingdom of Genovia, and there will always be crickets. And I'm like, I freaking love that movie. Why aren't you excited?
The best scene in the whole movie is when she gets her glow up and she breaks his brush.
You broke my glasses! And the makeover artist is like, you broke my brush.
I had really frizzy hair growing up, and I related to that on a spiritual level.
Driving in San Francisco is probably one of the scariest things you can do for yourself, but the scene where her and her grandma pick up her new convertible and they're driving up the hill and she goes backwards and hits a trolley.
Joe the driver is really the star of the movie in Princess Diaries. I mean, like, can we all be honest here?
You can call me Joe.
Joey?
No, Joe.
It was a story about family and changing and growing up and romance, it was amazing. Friendship, everything.
Even though it's called 17 Again, this was Zac Efron's like grown-up role.
This was like him emerging from the magma that was High School Musical, which I freaking loved. But this was the first time we got to see him starring in a major feature film with other well-known celebrities. Matthew Perry, who was like so well-known from Friends for so many years. The two of them like swapped bodies. I always love a good Freaky Friday story.
Zac Efron proved himself as like a comedic actor, and of course it's Zac Efron, so who wouldn't want to watch his movies, right?
I was actually kind of sad that Chandler wasn't in it more than he was. But yeah, Matthew Perry is the grown-up version of Zac Efron. So to me, that's like an actual dream come true. But I really like this whole going back in time thing. And Leslie Mann, right? It's Leslie Mann in that movie too.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, four best friends have this pair of jeans that they send around to each other when they're not together, and miraculously somehow everybody looks super hot in the jeans and they fit everyone, which like definitely doesn't make sense. So they're definitely magical pants.
I feel like it was such a good relationship that all these girls had that I feel like we need to learn from nowadays.
I think the most successful actress to come out of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants was for sure Blake Lively. She's gone out to do so much, including be in Gossip Girl, which was such a hit, so sad it's over. R.I.P.
And also, she married Ryan Reynolds, so I feel like she wins at life, like across the board.
I was like, I have to read these books. So I read the books when I went to Greece. It was the most magical experience.
The first time I ever got horny was watching Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants because Alexis Bledel falls in love with this guy from Greece, and I was like, Mom, I have to go to Greece.
And Alexis Bledel has an Emmy, and she's also from Gilmore Girls too. America Ferrera obviously went on to do Ugly Betty and like had a huge TV career.
They're best friends still to this day in real life. It makes it like so much more meaningful.
All three of Blake Lively's co-stars are the godparents of her children.
But what I love most about this movie is that all these girls are going through such different things in life, very serious issues, but they're still like able to share it together, get through things, have funny moments, have sad moments.
I've seen the Duff more than anybody should see the Duff in their entire life. And you know what's really funny is I watch it at least once a month.
So DUFF stands for Designated Ugly Fat Friend, and I was like, oh hell no, I am not okay with this.
But what you find out in that movie is that that's so stupid, and you shouldn't even put yourself in a category or in a box like that.
Mae Whitman plays this character, Bianca, who is literally all of us. She has this relationship with, I think it's her neighbor, who's played by Robbie Amell, who's like the hot guy.
It felt like a classic film in modern times.
Bianca is my favorite character in The Duff because, again, much like Lindsay Lohan's character, Katie, in Mean Girls, she's very relatable, she's kind of awkward.
Side note, Allison Janney is in the film. She's the best TV movie mom of all time.
When Robbie Amell and Mae Whitman finally get together at the end of the movie, their friendship is so good throughout the whole movie that when they fall in love and they decide that they love each other for real, they're still best friends, and it's so special.
So Perks of Being a Wallflower is an incredible film, an amazing book. It's about this kid who is super shy and ends up connecting with these two other kids that are a lot more outgoing. He starts experiencing all this stuff in life, but he has this big secret, which is that he lost a friend who's a victim of suicide.
It's definitely a roller coaster of emotions. Like one minute you're so excited, and the next minute you're crying, and it's all over the place, but in a good way.
I remember being in the theater and just crying. I remember it all stemmed from a scene in the kitchen. I don't remember what they said in the kitchen, but I just remember from there on I was crying.
This was Emma Watson's first big movie post Harry Potter, and everyone was so excited to see what she would do in this film. Nina Dobrev was in this movie, and this was like one of the first big film moments we had seen from her, because obviously we'd come to know and love her from Vampire Diaries.
Ezra Miller, who's really fun and higher energy, and then you have sweet little Logan Lerman, who just like your heart aches for him the whole time.
The thing I love about it is that it does deal with really serious issues that a lot of young people are going through, and a lot of times movies just deal with things that some people don't really connect with, and this one definitely was on a more serious side. And you could tell that all of them really bonded a lot through shooting, and we're so proud to be a part of this project. I loved Clueless. This movie came out when I was pretty young, but I just remember being obsessed with Cher.
She's sassy, she's funny, she's whiny, she's amazing.
When she literally could pick things out of her closet on a computer, that was revolutionary.
All I wanted was that computer to pick out my outfits in my closet.
The pens, the outfits, I mean, did we not all have them?
I think I love that film because that was before I moved out to LA, and it was kind of like, oh, is that what it's like out there?
I don't want to say that it had a huge influence on me moving to Los Angeles, but here I am.
I was so excited about getting older so that I could buy really cute, bright, trendy clothes and do my hair outside of a ponytail and say things like, as if.
I was going to an event. I was dressed in my tux, and I was with Drew, and we were all dressed up, and this car passes by, and they roll down the window like, you guys look amazing. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I looked, and I was like, are you? And she was like, I was like, oh my God, that was Alicia Silverstone.
I used to watch the show with my sister, and I remember we would make the pens, and we would put the little fluffy ends to our pens, and we would pretend like we were the characters in the movie.
My favorite scene in Clueless is when Cher tries to seduce Christian, like from the moment she meets him until the moment she finds out he's gay. I love it. I think it's so funny what she does in class, how she tries to like rub her feet with his feet, because it's so cringy but so good.
The driving scene, I think, is iconic across the board because everybody kind of can relate to that, like being terrified of driving, especially since I failed my driver's test the first time. So basically, I am like Cher, and I can't believe I just admitted that, but it's true.
Get out of the lane! No. Okay, get the procedure. Just get out the lane. It's wrong.
Cher is in the car with Dion, and like really they're still learning to drive. It's a total mess, and the fact that they're driving on freeways or whatever in LA cracks me up. But they literally think their life is flashing before their eyes. It's like they have escaped death, and Dion is crying. She's with her boyfriend and they're like making out because they feel like they've just like lived through something real, and Cher's like, oh, I'm alone, I don't have a boyfriend. It's so cool that she does.
Also, any moment with Paul Rudd, does that count as a favorite scene?
He was so hot in that film.
I feel like She's All That is one of those movies that plays constantly on the television. When you're cooking dinner, you just turn on TBS or something and it starts playing.
I think I love it because it was one of the most unrealistic movies that I've ever seen. And I said, this could never happen, but there was something endearing about that.
The very first celebrity I ever saw at the gym was Freddie Prinze Jr. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I was on a staircase. Oh my gosh, I'm having my She's All That moment. Freddie Prinze Jr. is coming up, I'm coming down the stairs, and he just didn't even make eye contact with me. It was one of the saddest times ever.
For anybody who wasn't the most popular in high school, you like kind of identify with their character and wondered, hey, can a girl really take off her glasses and just turn into this hottie? Like, is that how it works? And if you ever need something that will just wreck you for the night, A Walk to Remember is there for you.
When you say Walk to Remember, I start getting teary, start getting emotional. Mandy Moore was my hero.
But that was like the first time I really, really cried in a movie. Like, he stayed with her no matter what. My only hope. I can't do it. Mandy Moore was so good in that movie.
I was like, this woman is gonna be a huge star. And now she's the lead on This Is Us. And was she nominated for a Golden Globe? I think she was. She's killing it.
Like, I feel like Rebecca in This Is Us is like still Mandy Moore from A Walk to Remember.
I always believed in you, Mandy. Walk to Remember was the time that I started to believe.
I actually do remember seeing A Walk to Remember for the first time. It was at my neighbor's house that I had a crush on. And then after I tried to convince him to like watch the stars like at the end of the night, and he like did not want to. So that was an epic fail. Well, that's a wrap for our list of the best high school movies ever made. So let us know what your favorite high school movie is down below and any we may have forgotten about. And after that, click right over here to see 11 Crazy 13 Reasons Why Season 2 fan theories. And don't forget to subscribe.